rise, we unite, from the mountains to the sea. Warriors of love, you and me. We are the new tribe of the earth.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Rainbow Warriors 101. My name is Michelle, and I am very honored to be sitting here to share and moderate for all of you this evening. As the children of Mother Earth, we are humbly stepping into the new earth, hand in hand, forging the way for all generations to come. As Rainbow Warriors, it is a safe place for all First Nations people globally coming together, meaning all cultures, all traditions, all races, and all colors. If you have any questions that you remember after the fact, please email us at rainbowwarriors.101.united@gmail.com. And if you'd like to know also more about Chief Mel Standing Eagle, you can do so by purchasing his book on Amazon, A Life's Most Magical. And with that, I am going to pass the beautiful feather over to Chief Mel.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. And we want to talk about Michelle and what she does a little bit later in the program too. She brings a lot to the table, and she's a healer, and she's making a difference. And I am most appreciative to have her working with us in our foundation and as we building, and we're now establishing. This past weekend was most humbling to witness and to be part of. And one can't help but just walk in a state of gratitude and respect to see how people are now coming together, the awakening that is happening. With that being said, I have my sage lit, some Cherokee tobacco up for Creator. Again, giving thanks for this day. And with that, we come before you humbly, asking for insight tonight that we learn and that we take away from this. And we call on Brother Eagle to open our eyes, open our minds, open our hearts, that we can see that which is around us. And as we walk this earth, and as we were teaching at Tanasi, let us be as the wolf, doing no harm, but just being part of that system. And each of us here, like the bear, that we walk together as one in strength, as family. And we are all living here on Mother Earth. We are part of that family. And for the buffalo, those things that are sacred, let us in our daily path be reminded and hold our line and know that who we are, and we are great, powerful, spiritual beings made in Creator's image. And with that being said, thank you, Creator. Aho. I'm going to share with you a little bit about Tanasi. We've been the last couple of months focused on agro-science. I'm still adding PowerPoints. Our gardens, last week I showed photos. My cucumbers, my Hopi corns over 10 foot tall. It's all amazing. I walk in amazement. The things that we've learned right here in Rainbow Warriors 101 and putting it to use, and not buying garden fertilizers, but those things from that we've used from our kitchen. And I'd want to give you, and I'm going to pause for a second. I got a couple of videos that I want to share from Tanasi. For those that you are not familiar with Tanasi, Tanasi came together last year, and it was a proclamation ceremony of the new earth with the World Hereditary Council. And I was proud to be chosen and to be able to walk the path as a Rainbow Warrior Peace Chief, recognizing all races, all creeds, all colors here on Mother Earth, and being supportive of all nations, and thankful that people like Mama Ali and her community brought a peace pipe, honoring the path of the Rainbow Warriors, that they too are part of us. And Monday, I had the honor with General Baker and our attorney Marcy and Sasha Stone, and there was 8 of us there in council, and we got to speak with heads of state in 9 countries, and we were all on the screen sharing, and the things that we are all bringing together as one, helping each other grow, helping to restore and clean up, as Michelle, Mother Earth. And as I've always said, we can't be any healthier than our plants and the foods that we eat, nor can anything else that walks this earth, the fish that swim. And I was just sharing before we started with Brother Chris, one of the leading architects that spoke Sunday morning. They're now cleaning the ocean floor, and they're removing plastics from the ocean, and they're coming back and they're repurposing them, and they're literally building houses. They like hobbit houses, glass fronts, but the whole top is blocked in this material, the poly material. It's insulated, and they're literally growing grass and other plants all the way over the house. 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and Tanasi right now is being laid out in that format. And this is a coming together of people with one mind, one heart, working on commonalities of cleaning up the earth. And this is most important, to be able to walk this path and see that.
Good to go.
Sasha Stone and Chief Sabrina Whitehorse. She runs a number of rescues. Our attorney there next to Sasha, General Baker, over the Tanasi Iroquois funding. This is a sacred circle. This is the people that attended the fire ceremony. Everyone was cleansed and blessed. People from 6 countries attended there, and all over the United States.
Oh, wait.
And that came from Mama Ali. Well, there you went to the end. So that was just some photos from the event. It was most powerful. The comments that I have heard since, more people following, more people wanting to know how they can be part of, what they can do. Our meeting, we talked about the children, the rainbow children, the indigos, the crystals, the rainbow children, and they're known throughout the world by many names, in New Zealand, in Indonesia, in Africa. And we coming together as one. And I was asked to speak a couple of weeks ago at a conference. It was an energy conference, and I asked them what they wanted me to speak on. And I think I covered a little bit of this in my talk, so I'm going to go to my talk now, and hopefully you'll hear that part. But they wanted me to speak on NDEs, energy medicine, and starseed. And the moment I heard that, I almost started laughing. And then I realized it all weaves together. It all weaves together. And when you start understanding that, it gives us a different perspective. So I'm going to share with you a short clip of me addressing at Tanasi. You only see 6 or 7 people in the camera, but all that crowd that you just saw, they were all there in the, it's a big barn with staging and all of that. Open barn on each end, but the energy was nothing short of amazing.
Oh, we rise, we unite, from the mountains to the sea. Warriors of love, you and me. We are the new tribe of the earth, connecting our spirits, remembering our worth. First Nation stand.
Chief Mel, Standing Eagle. Yep, he's bona fide, and he came last year as a twofer, right? He came last year as a twofer with the man who won the South for Donald Trump, Daniel Brinkley, who's his bestie, right? There's a romance between those two guys, it's unparalleled. But Daniel is not with us today. He was with us last year, and prayers and love in his direction round about now, correct? But please give it up for this beautiful man who's part of our DNA, Chief Mel.
How many of you here are Rainbow Warriors? Wait a minute, I didn't see everybody's hand. How many of you here are breathing? Your heart beating? You believe in peace? Then you have a good chance of being a Rainbow Warrior. Now, Creator's got a sense of humor. Saw this little light-skinned mixed book. Him sitting around with some angels and some of those galactic workers, and said, let's go visit this little guy down in the South and see what he does with it. That's kind of the way it came together. But Creator does have a sense of humor, and there is a path that we follow. And we pull that down, brother. So today, I want to weave a couple things together. We're all electrical, spiritual beings. There's an energetic energy that flows in each and every one of us. There's an energetic energy that flows in the four-leggeds, the winged creatures, the fish, and even the trees out there. They all communicate. I try to follow the path of the ancients. I wasn't brought up in tradition. My dad, his dad was a German Jew, married a full-blooded, red-headed Irish Catholic. Think about that. Mom's side was Native American and English. And they run my family heritage back. It's a little scary who they say I'm related to. However, they threw it at me, and I was told anybody can quit. And I said, my name's not anybody. So we hold the line. Now, my dear friend Chief Sabrina was talking about all races, and I want to tie this in together. This is from my book that the grandmother said I had to write. I had not planned to tell my story. Like Daniel Brinkley, I've been hit by lightning twice. I just wasn't as bad as him, so they didn't kill me. So the prophecy is, when the earth is ravaged and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people shall come to the earth from all colors, creeds, and classes, and who, by their actions and deeds, shall make the earth green again, and they shall be known as the warriors of the rainbow. The Sioux, the Cree, they call it Rainbow Warriors. My grandmothers that I deal with in New Zealand and various other countries, and I'm proud to be representing First Nations globally. I work with some of the top agricultural scientists in the world. We're working with youth councils at the Lakota. I've got another group that we're working with in Florida. And in England, they even having a Native American Day over there where the kids get away from the friggin' cell phones. They learn about plants, about food. They do little face painting and storytelling and drumming. We have to get them away from the electronics. They know nothing else. They don't understand nature or anything else is spiritually related. So today, energetically, I was asked to speak about 2 weeks ago at an energy conference, and I said, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, NDEs, energy medicine, and starseed. Excuse me? So I had to think about that for a minute. Well, I've been running with and managing the most famous NDE of all time on this earth, Daniel Brinkley. Energy medicine. Well, we built the first chamber years ago that we had people from Hollywood, Cher came, Cynthia McFadden from Inside Edition, she got to talk to her grandmother. I saw a doctor from Clemson University, Dr. Darrell Yardley, he wrote about it in his book. We put him in the chamber. He actually was able to journey and see his dad in a hospital. They had ran all kind of tests on his dad. He was bleeding internally. They couldn't find it. Darrell was literally able to journey and see inside his dad's body. Then he calls his mother up and he says, Mom, I know this sounds crazy, but I know where Dad's bleeding. It's behind his left lung. Guess what they found? His dad was bleeding behind his left lung. Energy. Science now is proving the ways of the ancients, the teachings. Our agro-scientists are now teaching us and giving us understanding, the three sisters, and how the plants interacted and what they do with one another. This is something we all need to take advantage of. We can be no healthier than our plants. Think about that. We're no healthier than the food that we eat. In this room right here, we are that change. We have to hold the line. How many of you know that when you go into your grocery store and you get your fresh produce where they're spraying it with water and all, how many of you know there's chemicals in that water? A lot of people don't know that, and they just take and start munching on it. They don't clean it. They don't understand what's there. And then people wonder why autism rate is up, why we can't control our children. It's time for us to get back to natural ways to hold the line. Now, going back to NDEs and energy medicine, I realized that those that have a NDE have a heightened sense of awareness. It's opened them up spiritually. It has activated the starseed within them. So it allows us, I'm like a granddad to many youth, and to see them quest for knowledge. And they ask some really good questions. So when we come together and we focus and we open, we are the ones that Gen Z, our crystal children, our rainbow children, all of them, we're the ones that they have to come to for answers. And if we don't have it and we don't take our time to share with them, stick them in front of a TV, what have we accomplished? Let me rephrase that. What have we lost? What have we lost? This is our one and only chance. We are living in a time of change. Creator put us all here in this room, in this time for a reason. And when you go home, I want you to think about that. Every breath that you take, probably 22,000 to 24,000 breaths a day. Do you know what a prayer is? Conscious, willful intent. When you focus on, you can manifest. So take 3 breaths every day. Take 5, take 10. Get more conscious about what you're doing in your thoughts, dealing with the animals, dealing with the plants. Yes, I wasn't a tree hugger when I was there. I was a hippie. And I was doing my acid, and I thought everybody hugging trees was stupid. You know, look at that fool out there hugging that tree. Come here, honey, I'll hug you. You know? It didn't make sense. Now that I understand of energy transference and know that plants communicate with one another, when a tree is dying, it sends its nutrients over to the others. It communicates with the others. And when we open ourselves to see this, we find out we are truly spiritual beings. The biggest thing I would say here today is don't put limitations on yourself. Dream your dreams, live your dreams, and don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. Because you here today are the difference that Creator makes in all living here on Mother Earth. All living here on Mother Earth. So I want you to think about that. The starseed, they count on us. They need us. They need that knowledge. We need to get our kids away from the cell phone, take them out to the park, take them to national parks, anywhere that gets them in nature. Once they start understanding, they open up. That starseed starts to bloom. That indigo just lights up. That's powerful. That's powerful. And each and every one in this room has the ability to be that change. A quick plug, every Wednesday on Zoom, I have agro-scientists, I'm bringing other world leaders in, and we do a free Zoom teaching you how to grow plants. I got Hopi corn right now over 10 foot tall, and some of the Hopis is like, what did you do? I got a friend brought me some seeds from Italy, tomatoes. I got several different types. Gorgeous tomatoes. I found out I don't have to go to the lawn garden center to buy fertilizers or any pesticides. It's all in our kitchen. Rice water, onion tea, taking your veggies, the ends of your celery, your lettuce and everything. It's super nutrients. And when you treat your plants properly, they respond. And the better they respond, the better we are, the healthier we are. So know this, you're the difference that Creator makes. Over and over, we must remind ourselves. I'm stupid. I get in a rut, and I just, You know how you get on that trail, and then all of a sudden, I see all these people that are watching TV, not because there's anything really interesting there, but it's like, what the hell am I going to do? It's Thursday night. Be creative. Be the difference. Go out, feed the birds. Do y'all know what a spirit plate is? How many people here know what I see in one hand? Spirit plate. What do you do with your food? Go dump it in the garbage. Think about all those beautiful creatures that need something. Again, we're that difference. Daniel, I keep food too. He's got a bag of dog food, bag of cat food in his car. Everywhere he goes, he sees a dog on the side of the road, he's going to go over and set a plate about 15, 20 foot away from that road, and he's going to put something on it. What did he just do? He became the difference that the Creator made in that creature's life. Now, when you start thinking about karma and that energy, give it to me. Give it to me. It feels good. It really feels good. I got feral cats. I wrote about them in my book. I go out in my backyard. They hear me. They come running from the woods. They come running, wanting to hug, wanting to touch, before they even thinking about their food. All of a sudden, they found out we can trust a human. They're not as bad as we thought they were. Hopefully, most of us are. To see that, and to see the love and the response. The world is so much a greater place when we open our eyes and we look. Too often, we're like that horse with the blinders on, and control mechanisms are put in place. Open your vision. Expand yourself. Let freedom. So Chief Sabrina, when she was riding that horse last time, somebody was wanting to try to control. She didn't need that. That horse felt her. That horse felt her energy. It flowed with her. She leaned. She didn't have to yank and tell it, this is what you're going to do. It went with her. When you walk in balance with nature, life is so much more amazing. So I want everyone here to take a deep breath, and I want you all to think about self-healing to begin with. You can't change the world unless you work within to begin with. So take a deep breath, and as you release it, see yourself releasing your toxics and all these things and anger and these people that honking the horn at the stop sign. Release them, send them love. Let them cuss, who cares? I'm going to go down the road and I'm smiling. Release it. Your work, your family, those issues that you have to deal with daily. The same thing. It's nothing but a prayer. It's nothing but how you take it, how you feel it. It's all convertible energy. And what Sasha is doing here in bringing these like-minded people together, it's very important. This is changing times. We're getting away from corporate greed and corporate controls. And we're now working to restore and make people, to make First Nations people independent once again. I support one being successful.
But when one is given, much is expected. So as you give, so shall you be given. And it comes back in so many ways. And the joy, it's worth millions. It's worth millions. I'm going to cut this thing short. We're going to have a fire down here tonight. We're going to have a pipe ceremony. And yes, Sabrina, I brought a wireless system with wireless mics. So, anybody have any questions that you might want to ask me about Rainbow Warriors and what we're doing? Website. My website is lightstreamers.com. Lightstreamers. It'll tell you a little bit about our mission, and Daniel Brinkley's on there. On Facebook, there's Chief Mel Standing Eagle PC. I have another group called Rainbow Warriors 101. There, we share videos from our agro-scientists. We put up some PowerPoints, everything to try to help you become independent. And when you start understanding what we can do, and I just want to give a big thank you for our researchers that donate their time. In White Pine, Dr. Will Spencer, who is Cree, they're doing soil remediation there. In California, Governor Newsom was about to spend $6 million to clean up a toxic dump for low-income housing. Where else you going to put the poor people? Right? A dump site. $6 million. Our guys came back and said, you know what? We can clean it for $20,000 an acre. These guys have created an enzyme naturally from the desert and also some plants from South America. And it eats toxic metals. It eats petroleum. It breaks it down and turns it into worm food. What they're doing now, fields that have been covered with toxic poisons and sprayed with Roundup for years and years, and thank God the government has made them bring that down to what they were doing, and that's, you're right, honey, it's still like that. But normally 3 treatments are performed and all signs of that have been removed. That's back to returning ourselves to healthier foods and healthier ways, and all the 4 living creatures, again, all the living creatures, and our brother here that's pulling plastics from the ocean. We are the difference that Creator makes on all living here on Mother Earth. And to all of you that are holding the line as Rainbow Warriors, I love each and every one of you. Sasha, I'm going to round it up early so that everybody can get prepared for this evening. And I think you got a round table or something coming up.
I'm following instructions.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much, everybody. Good luck.
I hope y'all got a little something from that speech. I know it wasn't crystal clear, but it resonated. And I have heard response and response and response. And this will go up on all the platforms. And thankfully, it's being shared by grandmother groups and others in various countries. It's most humbling. I was sitting here about to cry a while ago, just realizing where we're at and what we're doing and that difference that we're making. This is exciting times for us to be here and to be in this moment and know that we were chosen and we chose to be here. I first used to think that was funny. And you know, after 1 or 2 of those coincidences, it becomes, that's not so coincidental. It's a synchronicity to let you know you're where you're at. You are doing what you're doing. You're being who you're supposed to be. And when you start realizing that, the limitations, there are none. Right here is our limitations. Right here is our freedom. I'll be talking about that in a movie coming out September the 5th at the Canadian Film Festival, The Art of Manifestation, with other, quote, thought and spiritual leaders from around the world. Most humbling that they would think some little Carolina boy's words was worthy. It is humbling. Sometimes it's hard to believe, and then one must pray. Don't let me fail. Keep my eyes open that I might see. Give me sight and wisdom so that I stay on this path. There's 7 generations of young ones that are counting on us. The winged creatures, all those little cats that come running from the woods when they hear my voice. It's amazing. And I got most of them fixed, by the way. I caught them in traps, take them. They come for the food this winter. I got a mama cat lived in the woods for years, and you know where she spends her night every night? Dark 30, she wants in the house. Only one place she wants, on the ironing board next to my bed, till I get in that bed, and she's right there, and she wants my hand on her. That is acceptance in family that would not otherwise existed. I marvel when I see the difference in how far they come. Because you know what? They're a mirror of where I come from. The craziness, the foolishness of all my life. And it wasn't till recent years when the synchronicities happened. Ghost Wolf passed on the winter solstice. The grandmothers chose me, and I received the sacred bundle over here from the Hopi that came from the Maya. That's heavy. And then being in down there with Z in Palm Beach the other week, and Mama Ali, Muhammad Ali's widow, comes up and says, "You are my chief. I am of your tribe. My people are of your tribe." Do you know how humbling that is? And it's heavy responsibility. And I share that with each and every one of you. Because each in our own life, we have that one thing that makes a difference. Tanasi, I received that sacred bundle from the Hopi on the summer solstice. I had spoken at Star Knowledge at Yankton Sioux. Then, last year, before the World Hereditary Council, the proclamation ceremony of the Rainbow Warriors, and I was chosen. And I was gifted the purple cord with the arrowhead from the Hopi. That's like a service award, a presidential medal. In my world, it's more important than any of that could be. With that comes responsibility, comes honor, and a path that we must take, a path that we must walk. And it's nothing but a decision, just a decision of which path I'm going to take. And when you look at Hopi Rock and the changes that we're going through in this time, there's the proceeding going forward, and then there's that cliff falling off. And it's up to us to make that choice. At Tanasi this year, the summer solstice, here I am again. Not coincidence, synchronicity, biblical burning bush in modern times. They're around us every day. The next song on the radio, some commercial, some billboard is our burning bush if our eyes are open, if our hearts are open to receive. Remove that doubting Thomas from there. That is our biggest holdback from being that mighty spiritual being who we are as Rainbow Warriors. With that, I have witnessed a couple of farms where they're creating their own electricity. They're firing up lights from the ground. Our gardens can be enriched, bugs kept away from our gardens because of what? Electricity. And I want to share that with you real quick. And all that sage, by the way, is burning my eyes. So beside the other stuff that's getting to me, it lets me know that I'm where I'm supposed to be at this moment.
There is something alive in the ground beneath your feet right now. Not a creature, not a root system, not a microbe, something electrical. A slow, invisible current generated by the chemistry of the earth itself. Two dissimilar metals buried in damp soil will find each other's electrons, trade them, and produce a measurable voltage. Not from a battery you bought, not from a wall socket, from nothing but wet dirt and metal and the fundamental laws of electrochemistry that have been operating on this planet for 4.5 billion years. And here is the part that should stop you cold. That current, that quiet, persistent, naturally generated voltage, appears to be deeply hostile to biting insects. No can, no chemical, no subscription. 2 pieces of wire, a wooden stake, a patch of damp ground, under $5. And for the right insects, something that does not run out, does not evaporate, and does not require you to coat your skin in a compound that dissolves the plastic on your rain jacket. The global insect repellent market was valued at $5.57 billion in 2024. It is projected to reach more than $8 billion by 2030. That market exists almost entirely because the product runs out. You buy a can, it lasts a few hours, and you buy another one. Every summer, the same transaction. And right now, somewhere in a university archive and in the yellowed pages of a French engineer's book from 1925, there's a method that doesn't run out. A method that was presented to international scientists, documented in peer-reviewed journals, and quietly marginalized the moment synthetic pesticides arrived with a more profitable business model. This is the full story of the Earth battery, where it came from, what the science actually shows, and exactly what to do with 2 pieces of wire and a handful of damp ground. The year is 1749. Paris. A stone laboratory lit by oil lamps. A French physicist named Jean-Antoine Nollet, court physicist to King Louis XV, a man who once sent a charge through a chain of 200 monks to prove the speed of electricity, is conducting one of history's strangest accidental experiments. Nollet fills 2 identical vessels with soil. He plants equal numbers of mustard seeds in both. He exposes one vessel to a continuous electrical charge for several hours each day. Same soil, same seeds, same temperature, same light. The only variable is electricity flowing into one container. Within days, the electrified seeds have sprouted and the control seeds have not. The electrified plants grow faster and taller with deeper root systems. These results, published in 1749, become the first documented record of what would later be called electroculture. But something else is noted in his writings that gets buried for more than 270 years. The insects in the laboratory avoid the charged vessel entirely. Small flies cluster around the uncharged control pot. They do not cross to the one pulsing with current. Nollet records it, moves on, and history forgets it. Nearly 100 years pass. Scotland, 1841. An Edinburgh clockmaker named Alexander Bain, a man already known for inventing the first electric clock and an early version of the fax machine, buries a plate of copper and a plate of zinc in the damp Scottish soil, approximately 1 meter apart. He runs a wire connecting them above ground. He measures what comes out the other side. 1 volt, generated by nothing. No acid, no generator, no combustion, just moist earth acting as an electrolyte between 2 metals with different positions on the electrochemical activity series. Zinc, being far more reactive, begins releasing electrons. Those electrons travel through the connecting wire to the copper. The soil carries the ions, completing the circuit. The ground itself is the battery. Bain uses the current to power a clock. It runs for months. He patents the device in Britain as the Earth battery, and scientists and telegraph engineers across Europe take note. They had already discovered that burying metal telegraph terminals in distant locations produced a measurable voltage between the 2 points, the Earth itself generating a current that could supplement their systems. Bain had simply formalized what the ground had always been doing. 4 years later, in 1845, a Scottish landowner named Robert Forster installs an Earth battery system across his barley fields near the town of Elgin. He publishes his results. Pest damage, he reports, drops to near zero. No aphids, no beetles, no flies swarming at dusk. Edward Solly, a Fellow of the Royal Society, reviews the work and publishes his own analysis in the Journal of the Horticultural Society, calling the connection between electrical current in soil and reduced insect infestation remarkable enough to warrant serious investigation. The Royal Society agrees on paper, and then does nothing. Not because it failed to work, because the Industrial Revolution was arriving with far more lucrative priorities. The next chapter begins in France in the 1920s with a man named Justin Christofleau, an engineer and inventor. Christofleau builds on the electroculture tradition that Nollet had accidentally started. He creates what he calls atmospheric antennas, wooden stakes wrapped in spiraling coils of copper and zinc wire, planted deep in damp soil, pointed skyward. The copper and zinc coil in contact with the soil creates the familiar galvanic reaction. The antenna extends that electrical field upward, he argues, harvesting the natural electromagnetic gradient between the electrically charged upper atmosphere and the negatively charged Earth's surface. A gradient, incidentally, that atmospheric physicists have measured and confirmed exists. Roughly 100 volts per meter, dropping from sky to ground. Christofleau's results are documented and reported in the French agricultural press and beyond. In fields where his antennas are planted, oats grow to 7 feet tall with zero fertilizer. Carrots reach 19 inches in length. Vines infected with the devastating phylloxera aphid, the same blight that had destroyed most of Europe's vineyards in the previous century, recover and produce sweeter, richer fruit. And across his fields, he writes, the current destroys the insects which attack the plants. His fields are free of pests without any chemical. By the time war breaks out in 1939, Christoflow's manufacturing operation has sold more than 150,000 antenna devices across Europe. Then the factory closes, and then DDT arrives. DDT was developed for military use during World War II, deployed in the jungles of the Pacific to suppress malaria among troops. After the war, it was commercialized. By 1957, it was in agricultural use across the United States and Europe. It was packaged, branded, and sold by the bottle every season, indefinitely. The farmers who had been using copper and zinc wire to deter pests, using a method that cost almost nothing and lasted years, were suddenly confronted with advertising campaigns, government recommendations, and distribution networks promoting chemistry that had to be purchased on a continuous cycle. Within a single generation, the history of electroculture was a footnote no one read. Christoflow's book went out of print. Alexander Bain's Earth battery became a curiosity for electrical historians, and $5.57 billion began accumulating, one summer at a time, in the pockets of companies whose entire business model depends on a product that runs out. Now here is what the peer-reviewed science actually shows, because this story does not live or die on historical accounts alone. There are things that are documented beyond any reasonable dispute, and there are things that are genuinely debated. Both matter. On the matter of copper and mosquitoes and water, the science is not ambiguous. A 2020 study published in PLOS 1 tested first instar larvae of 3 mosquito species, Aedes albopictus, Anopheles stevensi, and Culex pipiens, in water containing copper at concentrations below 1 part per million. The WHO safe drinking water limit for copper is 2 parts per million. At 0.60 parts per million, 3 times below the safety threshold, copper exposure produced high larval mortality rates in multiple species. Culex pipiens, the most common urban mosquito across Europe, Africa, and North America, showed the greatest susceptibility. At lower concentrations, pupation was severely delayed and the number of emerging adults dropped sharply. The mechanism appears to involve copper disrupting the bacterial microbiome in the larval gut, which mosquito larvae depend on to process food and generate energy for development. A separate study conducted in Germany and published in a peer-reviewed parasitology journal tested metallic copper spray inside flower vases used in cemeteries, a persistent mosquito breeding problem across Europe. A copper layer of less than 2 grams applied by spray, taking roughly 10 seconds to apply, killed all mosquito larvae of multiple species for more than 10 weeks, even when the water was changed 3 times. Cost per treatment, less than 2 euro cents. Drop a piece of bare copper wire into any standing water near your campsite. Every container of stagnant water within reach. Puddles, buckets, bird baths, old tire tracks. The copper ions that dissolve into the water at concentrations well within safe drinking thresholds are enough to collapse the larval population cycle. The next generation of mosquitoes that would have hatched from that water simply does not emerge. On the matter of copper and crawling insects like slugs and snails, the evidence is similarly solid. When a slug's mucus-coated body contacts copper, it triggers a galvanic reaction. The slug's slime, rich in ions, acts as an electrolyte. Research has measured voltages of 0.3 to 1.8 volts produced at that contact point, depending on copper purity and the electrolyte concentration of the individual animal's mucus. The resulting electrical sensation causes immediate behavioral deterrence. Experiments at the slug-specific level, including time-lapse studies and formal barrier trials, show 80 to 90% of slugs and snails turning back without crossing a copper barrier. Multiple species, multiple researchers, multiple countries, consistent results. And then there is the more contested claim, the atmospheric antenna and its effect on flying insects at distance. This is where intellectual honesty matters. The historical evidence is extensive, but predates modern controlled study designs. Christoflow's documented results, Nollet's observations, Forster's field reports, all real, all intriguing, all conducted in an era before double-blind experimental protocols were standard. Modern electroculture practitioners report dramatic pest reductions in their gardens, but large-scale controlled trials specifically targeting the flying insect deterrence mechanism have not been published in major peer-reviewed journals. The reason for that absence is worth stating clearly. You cannot receive a research grant to study a technology that costs $2, cannot be patented, and creates no commercial upside for any pharmaceutical or agricultural company that might fund research. The absence of studies does not mean the mechanism is false. It means no one in a position to fund the studies has any financial incentive to find out. What is not in debate? The electrochemical reaction between copper and zinc in moist soil is real, measurable, and documented, going back to Bain's 1841 patent. The ion release from that reaction is real. The effects of those ions on insects, lethal in water, deterrent on contact, disruptive to bioelectric function, are documented across multiple independent research teams. Here is what to build. Total cost, under $5 at any hardware store. You need 3 things. 14-gauge bare copper wire. Not insulated, not coated. 14-gauge galvanized steel wire, which is zinc-coated. And a wooden stake or a piece of bamboo, roughly 3 feet long. Cut 3 feet of copper wire and 3 feet of galvanized wire. Wrap the copper wire in a loose spiral around the lower half of the stake, starting at the bottom. If you are in the northern hemisphere, wind it clockwise. Wind the zinc wire the same way, alongside the copper, so both metals will be in contact with the soil when the stake is planted. The 2 metals need to touch, and both need to reach the ground. That direct contact in the presence of soil moisture is what initiates the galvanic reaction and generates the voltage. Push the stake at least 6 inches into the ground. The soil must be damp. Dry soil stops the reaction entirely because there is no electrolyte to complete the circuit. If the ground is dry, pour water around the base before you plant it. Rain will recharge the system naturally. Each antenna covers roughly 225 square feet. For a campsite, make 3 stakes and position them in a triangle. 1 near the tent, 1 near the cooking area, 1 near the fire. 3 antennas in a triangle formation will overlap their coverage areas to protect your entire site. Plant them the evening you arrive. For standing water, puddles, drainage points, any container that cannot be emptied, drop a length of bare copper wire directly into it. Leave it there. Based on the published research from PLOS1 and the German cemetery study, you will collapse the mosquito breeding cycle in that water within a matter of days, without harming anything else that drinks from it. The whole system costs less than $5. It generates no waste. It does not require replacement at the end of summer. Rain recharges it. The earth provides the current. The metals do the work. Compare that to a standard can of DEET spray, which costs roughly $12, lasts a few hours per application, dissolves synthetic fabrics on contact, leaves a chemical film on your skin that is absorbed transdermally, and requires repurchase every trip. Compare it to citronella candles at $8 each, which only function if you sit directly downwind of them and burn out within hours. Compare it to battery-powered spatial repellents that require fresh batteries and proprietary refill cartridges. None of those products exist because they are the best solution. They exist because they run out. The Earth battery did not die because it failed. It was not regulated away, not disproven by scientists, not abandoned by farmers because something better arrived. It was displaced by a market. Synthetic pesticides arrived with distribution infrastructure, advertising budgets, government agricultural endorsements, and the singular advantage of requiring repurchase. They occupied shelf space, print advertising, and professional recommendations until the prior knowledge became invisible to anyone who hadn't gone looking for it. In 1749, Nollet recorded insects avoiding electrified soil in a Paris laboratory. In 1841, Alexander Bain powered a clock for months with nothing but wet earth and 2 buried metals. In 1845, Forster's Scottish barley fields operated nearly pest-free after installation. In the 1920s, Christoflo sold over 150,000 devices across Europe before the chemical industry's lobbyists succeeded in marginalizing the practice. In 2020, peer-reviewed research published in PLOS1 confirmed that copper concentrations well below safe drinking water thresholds produce high mosquito larval mortality rates across multiple species. The voltage is still in the ground. Every patch of damp soil on this planet can produce it. The chemistry has not changed in 184 years since Bain buried those first plates. The insects have not adapted to it. The reaction does not require subscription. The Earth still runs it freely, continuously, without asking for anything in return. 2 metals, wet dirt, 1 wire. No chemicals, no cost, no permission needed. The only thing that was ever stopping you from using it was not knowing it existed. If this opened something for you, share it with someone who is still buying cans every summer. Subscribe, so you're here when the next vault opens. There are more of these, and they go deeper. Every person who finds this information is one fewer customer for an industry that spent a century making sure you never knew. The ground has been waiting.
How amazing is that? I know some of you here know about it. We've had conversation. Oh, there you go, Chris. I mean, we've had great conversations about this. Simple. I was using a mixture of Dawn dish detergent, a little white vinegar, and water, spraying around my leaves to keep things away. And then I realized some little rods out there around my garden enrich the plants, Keep the harmful bugs away. The tomato worms are gone. That's a biggie for me. And Creator put all this here for us. Mother Earth has all of this here for us. When we open our eyes, when we do that, we then become that difference that Creator makes. The video that I just saw that somebody requested a video, I'll have to find out where it is. I saw it and I snatched it. It was too good not to have, but I will get you the proper title and all that. It'll be posted on our Facebook later. But to know these things and then to put them into practical use. Knowledge can often be wasted. I know people walking around total brainiacs and they're on welfare. That's sad. I mean, I know a guy with the highest IQ in the school district and he's on welfare. And why? The limitations. And somebody less educated that saw a way to make it work did and got her done. Southern boy, got her done. They made that difference in their gardens. And that becomes a difference in where? Your own personal life. So I know I scattered all over a little bit tonight. We've gotten close to that hour. And I want to go ahead and open the room up for chat, comment, and questions. And we're going to keep them brief and then we'll shut it down. I want to recognize Michelle. For too long, I have loved her, appreciated her, but not let you guys even know the things that she brings to the table in living creatures' lives. And that's important too. And I want her to share some of that with you guys and questions and anything else. And Brother Chris has got his hands up. So, brother, you can jump on in. And then I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to do her stuff moderating. Thank you.
All right. Well, I was gonna go put some copper in some puddles, but now I'm gonna stay and listen to Michelle, so I'll do that later.
No, brother, you can go. You can go. So I'm gonna do announcements because I think that those are pretty important too.
Then
But
go
yes,
for it, honey. It's your you the moderator, you the boss. You the
okay,
boss.
I'm the boss.
You
So
the
I'm
boss.
gonna do
Moderator.
announcements, and then I will do a little bit of talking about what I do offer, and I do work with the animals. But first, announcements. So we are really excited, and we have been collaborating with ideas and suggestions and everything in the background. And now that our foundation has been laid and together, all of us are forging ahead. We are continuing to build and doing what we can in each moment to making those better tomorrows for all the generations to come, being though that prayer answered that our ancestors asked for. We are that walking change right here, right now. And because our foundation is laid, again, we've been collaborating. And one of the most important parts of this is the children. Absolutely the children. Not just the two-legged, all children. But it starts with the two-legged. And so with that, we are collaborating, whether it be in person, yeah, so camps, maybe weekends, we are working on these, and gatherings like we're doing here for children to come together. We really would like to see the children allowing themselves to be creative, allowing themselves to grow and glow and pass what we are doing on down to them so that they can continue as well. So that is something that is really exciting that is coming up. And I'm going to pass it over right now. And then when daughter Sister Z is done, I will take it back to continue on with what we are working on in the background here.
Thank you, Sissy Michelle. Yeah, we're like as Mel said, we are like eternally grateful, and it's time that you start talking about your amazing gifts. By the way, she's the real deal, but we'll get back to that. She's awesome. So the kids, yeah, I have the twins, and they've been really like starting to do some research and making some contacts, and next thing you know, all their friends. And then their friends' moms are asking me about indigenous ways and finding out about things they just didn't know about. They just didn't know. So it's all about awareness. So I had a group of probably like 7 kids over this past weekend, and they're all really getting excited to kind of, you know, make awareness to all the other kids out there, and they want to create content. They want to learn the indigenous ways. They want to learn ceremony. They want to learn about these things because with a lot of these movies and these games that were used against them, they're kind of noticing the little messages in them. Like Squid Games and stuff like that, and all these kids. There's this thing where they call them the bad VIPs, a big group of them. So they're like, we're gonna do something about it. But the thing is, they were even saying we didn't know about the indigenous tribes and the reservations and how they live, you know? And we didn't know that they're going to make pipelines that are going to create laws that make beavers a nuisance so they can just put the pipeline through, and they're going to kill all these beavers and destroy these million-year dams, and and the Alcatraz prisons they're making, and all these wonderful wild animals are going to be allowed to be hunted, endangered species, just so they can make these buildings. Well, I'll tell you what, the kids, when they hear that about the animals, they get lit up, and they say, not on our watch. So I already have kids looking up meetings in local like local counties that are putting up data centers, or that where they see these things are happening, and they're doing their own research and creating content, and they're looking for our support so that they can tell all their peers about it, because when their peers find out about it, then their parents find out about it. And these are your colonized people, by the way. The people that are plugged into the program don't know what they don't know, but the minute they find out, something snaps. And these kids are just, I just saw a bunch of them. It was like Braveheart. They wanted to go for it. And so now the parents are reaching out, asking for camps, asking for mentors, asking to learn. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to share their gifts, when you walk this walk. So the kids are ready to learn. Anyway, I thought it was exciting. So I'll give the the feather back to Michelle.
Thank you, daughter, sis. I love you so much. And it is something that is so important in bringing them and that reconnection, which will bring me to what we're going to be also be doing next is bringing other speakers in about energetic connections, water, how we can support the water, how can we support the air. We are one with that. It is part of us. And, I've learned so much over the past few months, that the soil is like our skin. It is our skin, and it took me a little bit just to sit with that in itself. And I was like, wow, like that went really deep for me. Just a simple thought like that. And I knew it, but I really felt it really deep. So, different things again, energetic connections, water, offering support and different teachings, and sharing on, a guide to being being of that stewardship for our mother. Some people that are just coming in, they don't get it. They're like, I feel it within me, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And then there's some that who have been walking the path for years. Let's share what we have, share that medicine that we have with them to help get all of us united, all of us together. So those are just some of the things that are coming up. Um, and we will also be continuing, as Chief shared with us, with the soil, with the growing, with the harvesting, with the preserving. That's important part of it. It's not something that we can just leave on the side and go, okay, well, now we know how to grow it, but okay, it's now all going to waste because we don't know what to do with it. Or it's just sitting in your cupboard empty until one day you go, oh, well, that's so old. No, eliminate the waste. Everything we receive is such a beautiful gift. It is truly a gift. And to honor that, I do feel is important. Okay, so we're saying that over the summer, so July and August, we will be coming together every second and fourth Wednesday. Okay, so it will be every second week. Again, that is every second and fourth Wednesday. And the reason for that is because we are busy collaborating, we are busy building so that we can bring even more back. However, we do ask that you please stay tuned to our Facebook page because something may come up and we may go, okay, Spirit, creators sharing with us, saying, okay, get this out there. We don't argue. We kind of learned that. You don't argue with creator. You just, when creator calls, you answer. And so please do stay tuned to the Facebook because that is where we will post that. And also on the Chief Mouth Standing Eagle page. Now, a little bit about myself. I offer animal communications. I am trained in a couple of different areas, and I've been walking this path consciously for approximately 20 years. Does anyone have any questions? Because I really don't like talking about myself because I work on me so that I can be of service and share with others. So that's why I do what I do. So if anyone has any questions, please
She's
feel free to
really
ask.
good at what she does. Sometimes it's hard for us to talk about ourselves, but there are people that's had incidents and problems with some of their animals, and she has been able to reach out to them and help them with everything from diet on, and that makes a difference. And so, if you have an animal that's you're having trouble communicating and it's having issues, she's very, very intuitive when it comes to that. And I want to go back, if I may, of one thing: water, data centers. I'm trying to find out. There is a state that is running data centers in the United States, and the state government is operating, and they are not using water for the system. Meta and all of these others are pumping our streams, and they doing it because it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
There are lakes that are drying up. There's issues now with Lake Mead. Some of you know my background. 2009, 2010, I traveled back and forth 10 days here, 10 days to Arizona and other places, and I was shooting video for Unsolved Mysteries. Dealing with World Hereditary, I'm back to encountering other species other than humans that are here. I, with Danyan, met with one out in the desert, and I'm not going to go into heavy detail. And I don't know, 30, 40 miles out in the desert. And his biggest concern was the algae in Lake Mead. I was amazed. Oh, first of all, I was shocked. I mean, I shot video, I had things happen. When I quit shooting, I had something happen, and the lady that I was working with ended up at the hospital, and police coming in and questioning how she got laser cut. We had over 2 hours disappear one night. And there was an awakening experience, and I decided I didn't need part of that world, and I stepped away from it. Data centers and water. Data centers change water structure. Water can heal. Frequency in water. I'm sure most of you here are awakened and you've seen what water can do. But after water leaves a data center, it's worthless for the fish. Think about that. There has to be a healing of water, and there are systems that exist. We have to get away from trying to be greedy and look at nothing but the profit bottom line. Creator will provide for us. Creator has always provided. How many tens of thousands of years have we survived without corporate greed? As I said in my talk in Tanasi, I want people to be successful. And if you're successful with good heart, you give back. When we talked about funding, since I was raised a son of a Baptist minister and had it kind of beat into me, I went to the biblical, and there's good points when we look. We take care of the widows, the orphans. As I stated, if you have the ability to only sweep a floor at a Walmart or a McDonald's, then you should be doing that. We must all contribute. Contribute is what? It is energy. It is a sharing. And in that, we all grow. I'm so thankful these times of awakening that we live in and to see the changes that's coming. We all disagree. We all have a right to disagree, but as I've talked over and over when I address them, we must work on the commonalities that we have. And I do have some connection to the White House. I have connection to Kennedy, his speechwriter. I can pick up the phone and call her anytime. That is a blessing. That is a blessing that one can reach out and get a point across and have people research. I'm humbled knowing that those resources exist and knowing that each of us here are that difference. It's heart moving. It's healing. But I told Trump, drill, baby, drill. But I don't want to see your ass going through a single sacred piece of property. Go around it. Few more miles of pipeline. Do it right. Triple wall it. Make it earthquake proof. We're not stupid. Science and technologies has proven we have ability to do these things. We have fallen prey to many things, those big windmills that they put in the desert. Does anybody have any idea how much petroleum, how much oil a windmill uses? Nobody thinks about that. That's a windmill. It's saving us. Let's see, the desert sands eat away. And what are they made of? Fiberglass. What do you do with fiberglass when it's done? And then the bases, the pedestals, deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth. Massive, massive amounts of concrete. There are natural things that were provided for us. Grounding. I actually looked at a farm that had lights. And it was wireless. And I was amazed. The man was generating electricity. He had a little generator. And he was taking pellets, chippings from wood, plastics. And he created a little system, looked like a little metal chute, and it was blowing those things in. It was heating, and it was turning a turbine that generated a generator that kicked the next one. And they run in the farm and the barns off of that, off the grid. We need to be smart in what we do. I've said it over and over, and I'll say it 1,000 more times. Everything that we do, affects all living here on Mother Earth. Daughter's got her hand back up, so I'm going to shut up and let her ask. And some of you others, please chime in.
I almost forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, yeah. I just I was waiting for you to finish because I think I just looked at everybody who's here and we all here understand frequency and energy. So, we're gonna be getting into that soon. But with that, Uncle David and Mel and everyone here, I wanted to introduce you to two wonderful ladies here. It's Carol Piro and Arden. And these are two women that will be harmonizing with me at Serpent Mound, along with Uncle David here, who will be playing the drums for some frequency healing. We've been kind of practicing this with people, and it's doing some pretty awesome things, and they're saying it's working. So these ladies have kind of showed up, and Uncle David, it's really funny. The first day the three of us ever met, we were they called me and they found out about me from another group, and we decided to meet on this sacred ancient mound, shell mound, right? And we met on the it's a park, and we meet on the top, and guess what walks right up to us as we're meeting? A big tortoise. And every time we meet, we see a turtle. So last time when you were talking about, I think we're in a drum circle, you announced you're making that rattle and you said the three sisters. Well, we're three sisters. So I just wanted to tell you all the synchronicities and how that worked out. And so we're going to be coming together in Serpent Mound, and it's really cool because all the crystal skulls are showing up there, and they're showing up and saying we want to hear this frequency. There's a lot of synchronicities, guys. And me and Marcy, I mean, we can't experience what we experienced the last time. We shouldn't be here. We experienced a miracle together. So, like, I don't know. Y'all know what's happening. We could feel it, Linda. Oh my God, the synchronicities every day. I'm just saying everything's coming together. And I just wanted to introduce these wonderful ladies to you guys or everybody here. Everybody here is family, by the way. You know, um, we're all like badasses. Yeah. We're all ready to do something about, these gifts we've discovered about ourselves, and spirit's just laying it out right now. That's all I have to say. So I want to thank everybody here for being here, because I was just looking through it. And so rock star room, Nicholas, thanks for showing up. Val, man, everybody, Robbie's gonna be a superstar soon. Yeah, he is. Anyway.
Daughter, if I may interrupt, Val, for those that don't know, she's the grandmother in the Gathering of Eagles with my brother Jim. And we often and every Tuesday there's a gathering. The Lakota Youth Council are involved. There's a group of grandmothers, and we have open discussion, and the youth council gets to listen as we banter back and forth. They get to ask their questions, and they get to put their input in. And that is indeed growing. That is expanding. That is helping the next 7 generations to the very next level. And Brother Nicholas, it's good to see you, and I see your hands up. So go ahead and chime in, sir.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, everyone, being present, embodying here and now. And yeah, I really appreciated the video and some of the things shared so far. I just, I kind of feel called to share a few things here. I started a podcast, I'm not sure when, about a year ago or more. It's called the Collective Coherence Show, to really try and bring a voice to just more around collective consciousness and how it can be utilized in our favor, as well as how it's being utilized against us without our consent necessarily, or our ignorance to a degree. And some of what that video was speaking to, and how to repel bugs and such, like some of these chemicals, and just how essentially our embodiment connects to our physical experience, and how through this kind of subconscious consent and ingesting food, say, that has these chemicals, like it's potentially manipulating our consciousness to help create a kind of, let's say, psychic environment for this kind of stuff to go on. It's almost like our bodies are helping to dream that into being accepted and okay. And just how empowering it is once we really start honoring source consciousness and the source of things, and getting back to the source and honoring that of what we put in and put out, and that every choice we're connecting that source force. And when we share with others and we share truth, and we maybe encourage someone at the grocery store to consider another option, or we raise a concern, like all this is contributing in massive ways, so much more than our little egos can kind of calculate and account for. And it between the cell phones we use and all this applications, black and white kind of stuff that we all kind of consent to, it some of it has been written in a way that it manipulates our consciousness, like I said, into kind of giving our source power to this stuff. So I just really want to make a point of, like, I do not consent to my environment being sprayed with chemicals that are not like approved of. I don't consent to farmers who are doing this just to make a profit. I stand with the earth. I ask the whole earth to stand with me, and to be utilizing our voice in these conscious, coherent ways to really speak that into the environment, and be that living, breathing truth for us to embody. We really, lastly, are soul empowered when we honor our embodiment in that way, that we are truly already connected. And more than that, we're dreaming with all of creation, and we're weaving with the creator and all of nature. So, any choices we can make to really honor that, and honor ourselves, and honor our body and everybody, it's, you know, some of the most empowering stuff we can do. And it might be some of the most challenging ways of sharing truth and awkward moments and stuff. But thank you to everyone who's doing that, and hear me saying loud and clear as this cedar tree, it's well worth it.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. That was so wonderful. I could hear you, but most importantly, I could feel what you were saying. And that is amazing. Absolutely so many beautiful things you shared with us. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Chief, do you have anything to add to my overflowing gratitude for what Nicholas just shared?
He's right. It's us working together, the collective, to make the difference. There is profit to be made everywhere if we're smart. And as I said, as you give, so you shall you be given. And I see Miss Jessica also had her hand up. And I really appreciate everyone coming here and contributing. It's like you said, the collective. The collective we grow, the collective we learn. You pick up what you need to take you to the next level. And I walk amazed. Every day, new adventures. And why in the hell did I have to get this old to start seeing what I see in this life now? I need another 30 or 40 years because it's just getting too good, too good. And I know that we got some tough times ahead. I know that there's financial shifts that's going to happen. That was part of our discussion with a few of the world leaders Monday. And there's timelines that I'm not at liberty to discuss of things that are projected. Some of it scares the holy hell out of me, to be honest. And those gardens and us working together and sharing, we're all we got, folks. All right, Miss Jessica.
How's everybody doing? Um, it's so, like you said, Z, the harmony, the frequency of what is occurring, what's happening. Um, Today we have every Wednesday I take my son to his therapy session, and another very interesting moment happened because in therapy, mental health, if anybody is involved in any of that, you know, they always go from delusion, or if people see and hear things that are not there. And that's a fine line. especially for people that are spiritual. So, I think everybody experiences their spirituality in different ways. I have never seen or heard anything that wasn't actually physically present. I've had visions, I've had dreams, um, I've had some really cool experiences. But the stuff that I saw was there, it wasn't imaginary. And I told the therapist, I said, let's talk about something that actually is delusional that everybody goes by. And she said, what's that? And I said, well, take Mother Earth, for example. There's only one. She's not split up. The titles people hold, their property lines, they're literally delusional. They do not exist. However, we have governments and laws that literally encompass this idea. There's no such thing as a property line. It is completely delusional. So, when it comes to the health of Mother Earth, I said this has went on since the beginning of time that the native people or the traditional teachings are outlawed, criminalized, we're crazy for standing up for the health of our planet that we literally hold dear as our mother. And we're seen as, not logical, not, normal or whatever the case may be by these governing entities. And I said that has to stop because she is our mother. You cannot own your mother, your earthly mother, the one that gave birth to you. Do you own her? Do you own your children? And trust me, I know there's parents out there that think they actually do own their kids. I've met a few. Not impressed. So that mentality is, to me, that's a mental disease. Thinking you can actually own the earth or you can actually own another human. And when you stand against such a popular idea, you're not a very popular person. But I've never cared about popularity. I care about the truth and I care about how this will affect the next 7 generations. So it is our youth. We have to reach our youth. We have to teach our youth. Um, that's the only way you reach the next 7 generations. We got to teach our daughters that they're sacred. Look at all these people running around out here, and it's very disheartening because if you're against violence against women, if you're against women being exploited, if you're against women being abused, then teach your daughter she is sacred. Teach your granddaughter she is sacred. And, I'm just grateful for everyone here. And this is my little crew. So we got the cats too, if you can see them. So, and Michelle, I definitely probably need to talk with you about my little black and white girl, Luna. She was born with a virus that is one that probably would have killed her when she was a kitten, but we bottle fed her. We put she believes she's our daughter, and we believe she's our daughter. We love her. She loves us. So we want to do everything we can to keep her happy and healthy and um, in good shape. So I definitely would love to speak with you more on that. And Chief Mel, I love you to pieces, and thank you so much for everything. All
Thank,
right.
thank you, thank you, thank
So
you.
I really appreciate everyone here. Thank you so much. I will.
Brother David, you up at the plate.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thing that came to my mind, when you're mentioning the kids, I work with kids. I work in the middle and high school, and they're all college bound. All the kids that I work with are the smart kids. And I think one of our biggest priorities, and I'm sure the kids aren't going to like it, but I think one of our biggest priorities is getting those kids' faces out of their phones and start taking them out into nature. That should be our number one priority is, you know, because as long as those kids keep their faces in those phones, there's going to be a need for them data centers. Now, if we keep them kids away from their phones and going back into nature, there won't be a use for those data centers, and they won't be needed. And I think that is our best way to combat those data centers, is to get our kids' attention, like Zon was mentioning. Get our kids' attention and let them know, you don't need to be looking into your phone all day long. Get back and do something for nature, do something for the good of Mother Nature and our planet. And yeah, I think that's a great idea. That talking about that, and that should be one of our biggest priorities, in my opinion. But that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And I'm in agreement with you. Data center, they've just built a 300-acre meta center 8 miles from me. 300 acres. Bridgestone Firestone, where they make those giant, big airplane tires, the big tires. Their buildings almost dwarfed by Meta. Why do we need that? It's called governmental controls. How many of you know that 10G exists? I see one hand. See another hand. 10G exists. Scientists are committing suicide that had wonderful conversations the day before or hours before, and because of stances that they've taken, they're no longer with us. This is a reality that we live in this time. We're in a war. We're in a battle. And the battle is for the soul. Think about this. It's for the soul of humankind to control. The vax, what was it? The great experiment was the second time. And all those people are growing carbon antenna in them. I have a book over here from a doctor, world famous, been in courts in The Hague and everywhere else. And they, under microscope, have proven what these are doing. They're self-building nanos within our body. You don't have to have the vax any longer to receive it. They can do it in cloud seeding. This is how scary and how this technology has changed. And for me to be able to sit in meetings with scientists and researchers. I've sat in a meeting the other week and I was like, y'all remember the TV show The Twilight Zone? Any of you old enough to that? What I was hearing was nothing short of what would have been Twilight Zone. And this is our reality. And this is what the indigos, the rainbows, this is their world, and this is what they got to contend with. And this is a control mechanism. Herd mentality. Think about that. Herd mentality. With all the data centers, we don't need a lot of college-educated people anymore. Hollywood's upset. They don't need actors anymore. They can create it. It's all digital. In Georgia, the governor's race, 2 candidates opposing one another ran television commercials with the previous governor endorsing them. One of them was AI. And he got away with it. And he won. He won. You don't know what when it comes on the news, whether it's real. They turning us into subhuman. It's crazy where the world's at. The mark of the beast. I see it in many forms. I see it manifesting in many ways. You won't be able to hand your child $20 to let them go down to get them a ice cream and whatever. You can't hand them the cash. Although Trump says that we're going to do a 1-1 in the next. But every penny that you handle, the government knows where it's going to go. You want to talk about Big Brother? And you remember that thing called the Constitution and the rights that you have to privacy? It don't exist. It went out the window. Nobody wants to talk about those things. The rights given to us by a creator, they think they have the right to do that. And that's most troubling. I could go on and on, but we need to wrap this up and then shut this recording down and have a. But go ahead, Michelle.
I just wanted to thank also Uncle David for sharing that, because it is very important that we do get the children back out into nature and working with animals. One of the things that they have shared with me a lot is about the rebuilding of that. And they are here with us. They are carrying us. We are not just protecting them, they are carrying us and they are helping us. They're here on purpose, with purpose, and to bring the children back out into nature to reconnect with who we are, because we are one with the trees, we are one with the soil, we are one with all of that. And I so agree with you. It is so important to bring those children back out there. And I know a lot of us, we say that we're going to do it, but I got to do this first. One thing that mother never says to us, and she's got a heck of a lot more tasks on her plate than any one of us or all of us combined have. She never says, I'm too busy. She does it. She is our mother and she cares for us. She gives, and it's our turn to give back. We are the change. And that is such an honor. So I thank you, Uncle David, because I so agree with you. It is so important to bring the children back out into the nature. Thank you. Brother Chris, and I muted myself. I'm sorry. Chris, we'll go to you and then we'll go back to Chief Mel for a closing prayer and then to open forum.
I'll make it quick. If you look into that system you were just talking about, the animals carrying us, you look around, one thing I can promise you don't notice, and that's fear. There's no fear in that realm. It's time that we stop with this business model of profit and look at stewards. The planet needs stewards. We don't need more executives or employees. We don't need government employees. We don't need the government, period. They're the first ones that we could annex. We're not, but the best way to do that is to stop believing all the shit that they talk about, the fear. If we stop and remove the fear element from everything around us, they lose automatically. Everything just crumbles without a bullet, without an argument, without anything, because they feed on our fear. And that's all they feed us, is things to make us afraid. So you want to beat them at your game? Assess your situation and stop the fear. That's all there is to it. And then we rid them, or we rob them of their food source. That's all I have to say.
And Mother Earth will survive with or without us. With or without us. So, guys, I know we deterred from our normal where we've been for the last couple of months with agro. But Rainbow Warriors, we're all about who we are and living and making a change. And so we're going to be going into more areas. There's more programs that are being planned and laid out that relates to Rainbow Warriors for connectiveness, for healing. And by the way, the new community concept at Tanasi, you don't own the land. You take your money and you build upon it as a steward. And when the time comes, the next and the next and the next. And that way you're giving back, you're being part of, and I want to be part of the healing process. Guys, I thank each and every one for you being here tonight. We'll open chat in just a few minutes. I love each and every one. Please keep us in our mission in your prayers. People have no idea, and we get attacked from every area that you can believe. People that are afraid of change. People are afraid to open their eyes and realize who they really are. And I hope here tonight there was an awakening, whether it be one person, two person, or three, that in that awakening, it makes us realize who we are as a spiritual being and that we are that difference that Creator makes in all living here on Mother Earth. Love you all. Be blessed. A hope.
Oh, we rise, we unite, from the mountains to the sea. Warriors of love, you and me. We are the new tribe of the earth, connecting our spirits, remembering our worth. First Nation standing hand in hand, healing the wounds, restoring the land.